Hello, good morning students and welcome back once again to another video of the class 10 Human Eye and Colorful World. Now in the last video we covered the last topic of the chapter, that is the color of the sky. So today we will be revising the whole chapter from the beginning in short. Okay, so this video will be regarding the revision of the whole chapter. So the first thing that we started was with the human eye, how human eye works, the structure of human eye, all the parts of human eye, that is cornea, then lens, then pupil, iris, ciliary muscles, retina, optic nerves, all those. Okay, so the structure of human eye, we started with the structure of human eye, and then we studied the parts of the human eye and how the light falls on the lens and it converges on the retina. The retina has light sensitive photocells and those converts light energy into electrical impulses, which is sent to the brain through optic nerves, and our brain understands the image that we are observing. I hope it is clear to students. The next is power of the lens. Although this topic is excluded from, that is power of accommodation, is not included in the final exam, but still it is better because it is just one single topic and it is better to learn than discard it from the whole chapter. Very easy topic. Our natural eye lens, that is jelly-like substance inside the lens, has the capacity or the ability to change its power. With the help of ciliary muscles, it can either become thick or thin. When it becomes thick, the power increases and therefore the converging power of the lens increases. The converging of light increases when the lens becomes thick. And when the lens becomes thin, the converging power decreases when we are observing faraway objects. So this ability of our eye lens to change the focal length and adjust it on the retina with the help of ciliary muscles by increasing and decreasing its power, by changing itself, that is becoming thick and thin, is called power of accommodation. Okay. Next is the defects of the human eye, that is myopia, hypermetropia and presbyopia. Myopia, hypermetropia and presbyopia. Myopia is nearsightedness, that is a person is only able to see nearby object. Myopia also known as nearsightedness. And the next one is hypermetropia, that is farsightedness. Okay, farsightedness, or you can only see far away objects. In this one you can only see nearby objects, and the reason being that your natural eye lens has become quite thick and it becomes impossible to change it back or becoming thin, or by the natural defect, that is when a person becomes sick or something happens to it, then the structure of the eyeball changes and it becomes short, and therefore it doesn't matter how thin the lens becomes, ultimately it is unable to adjust the focus point on the retina, and so the image becomes blurry. The focus point is before the retina, okay, because of the thick convex lens, that is our natural problem. It is unable to become thin, and therefore the far away objects are not visible clearly, they becomes blurry. Okay. The next one is hypermetropia. In this one, the lens becomes thin and it is unable to become thick, and so the nearby objects are not visible properly, or by any defect the eyeball becomes short, unlike the myopia where the eyeball becomes longer, so that it doesn't matter how much thin the lens becomes, still the focus point is unable to reach the eyeball. Okay, so if the length of the eyeball increases or the diameter of the eyeball increases, then it becomes myopia, and if the diameter of the eyeball decreases, then it becomes hypermetropia, because it doesn't matter how thick the lens becomes, it is still unable to see the nearby objects. However, it can see the far away objects clearly. Okay, that is why farsightedness. Now in presbyopia, this generally occurs to the people of higher ages, that is it doesn't matter what they are looking at, the lens becomes stuck at one place, so they are unable to focus nearby or far away objects, it remains as it is, and so they use bifocal lenses. If you remember, the aged people in your house, you might have seen they have dotted lines on the glasses, or they have a small circle in the center, such that they are able to see the nearby objects for reading the newspaper and stuff, or observing any close by objects, and the other part on the top is used for far away objects, that is presbyopia. So we have covered the three defects. These are quite important. The next one is refraction through prism. We know how the refraction of light works, but in prism it changes its path completely. That is, just for revision purpose, if a ray of light enters this way, okay, then it goes that way, and once again it refracts and comes out from this angle. And its original path was supposed to be this way, and now this is its new path. It refracts two times and both in the other direction. And so when a ray of light enters a glass prism, okay, then it changes its path completely. In the glass slab it was parallel to its original path, so it is still going in the same direction. But in this one, it changes the path completely, and this angle formed over here, that is the new path and the older path, it is called angle of deviation delta. Very simple. The next one is dispersion of light in prism. We know what is dispersion. Dispersion is the splitting of white light into its constituent colors because of their different wavelengths, and because of the different wavelengths all the colors react differently in the white light when they enter a glass prism. Very simple. When they enter the prism, the one with the least wavelength, that is the smallest wavelength, refracts the most, and that is violet color, and the one that refracts the least, that is the red color. So it refracts the least, and therefore it goes this way. The red color is over here. And this is how the Vibgyor is formed. All the other colors, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So all the colors, they refract differently because of their different wavelengths. Okay students? And the dispersion of light also happens through water droplets, and because of which we are able to see the rainbow. Raindrops, they act as a natural prism, but in this, the rainbow happens on the same side where the light is entering. So if the light enters on this side, all the colors go this way, and over here internal reflection happens. Internal reflection, it is called internal reflection, and they are bounced back like mirror, and they come out on this side. Okay, all the different colors. So this is how the dispersion happens through a raindrop, and we see a rainbow formation. Okay, very simple. Next is recombination of light. So Isaac Newton used more prisms to disperse the light even further, but it was not successful. And what happened was, at a certain point, he found out that even though they are dispersing, if the two prisms are placed in such a way, then the white light emerges from the other side. That is, one prism is over here and the other one is like this. Then white light disperses into its colors, then goes back like this. Okay, and then it bounces back and combine together, making one single white light. The difference being, over here, this light and this light, they are parallel to each other once again. Don't mind my rough diagram. This is what Isaac Newton did. We have studied this already. The dispersed light refracts once again to the prism, and then after refraction they combine together because the prisms are placed at such an angle that the dispersed white light combines together and then forms one single white light. And the original white light and this light, they both are parallel to each other. Okay? The next one is atmospheric refraction. Okay, atmospheric refraction. So we studied about this, that the atmosphere is still a different medium compared to the space, that is the vacuum. So the white light from the sun, when it enters the atmospheric surface of the earth, it bends a little bit. Suppose this is the atmosphere around us, so the white light, it bends a little bit, not much. Okay, because the medium is not that dense. Okay, so the density of the medium, that is atmosphere around us, is not so much. So light is not having that much difficulty. Okay, the velocity of the light changes in different medium. This is what we studied in the previous chapter, that is light chapter. So over here, the velocity of the light is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second, and over here it is 2.98. So it is roughly the same, not that much of a difference. Okay. The next one is atmospheric reflection, and then position of and twinkling of stars. So we just studied this recently before 2 videos, how the twinkling of stars happens. Because atmosphere around us, star over here somewhere. So the light from the star, because it is very far away, it is one single beam of light, sorry, one single ray of light. It refracts a little bit like this, and then its position to us is somewhere over here. So the position of the star is also different for us. It is supposed to be somewhere over there, but we observe it to be here. Other thing is, why it is twinkle? Because over here in the atmosphere also the gases are continuously moving, and therefore the density is also changing again and again. So this light has to refract many times. So sometimes it goes this way, and it refracts again and again, and at a certain point we see the light. And because of that, the position of the star changes for us little bit. So it goes this way and this way. So the position of the stars is also changing continuously, and therefore we see the star to be twinkling. However, it is not twinkling, it is just changing its position, vibrating, or you can say fluctuating a little bit from its position, and we observe it to be as twinkling. But it is not at all twinkling. The stars is at the same point, only the light which is reaching us, it has to go to a different paths again and again, and so we assume or we see or observe the star to be twinkling, that is vibrating and fluctuating. The next is advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. Once again, atmospheric refraction comes into play. We observe this as our earth, and when the sun rises from a particular point, let's say that the sun rises from this side over here. So even though before the horizon, still the ray of light bends a little bit and reaches us because of the atmospheric refraction, and even though it reaches the horizon, just before that we see the sun to be rising. We see the sun to be rising. Why? Because of the atmospheric refraction. It is below the horizon, but we still see the sun to be rising. Okay, because our apparent horizon has changed. This is our fake horizon. This is what we observe, and so the sun rises just 2 minutes before it actually goes over the horizon. So when it goes on the actual horizon, already 2 minutes have passed. So we see the sun rising 2 minutes before it has already risen from the actual horizon. So that is why it is called advanced sunrise, 2 minutes before the actual horizon. So same thing happens on the other side, that is on this side horizon. Even after it sets, and we still see 2 minutes after that the sun is setting. So this is called delayed sunset. The same phenomena, atmospheric refraction, takes place, and so we see the sun setting even after the 2 minutes of it has already set, because our actual horizon is this one, but the fake horizon that we observe, that we perceive, is this one. Okay, so this is what we see according to the atmospheric refraction. The last one is scattering of the light, because our atmosphere is made up of many particles, and therefore when the sunlight is entering the atmosphere, the blue colored particles are scattered everywhere, and therefore we see the color of the sky to be blue. But when the sun is on the top, it is having the least distance, and so the light do not get enough time for scattering, and we see the sun to be whitish color. So when you observe, or the sky also has white color. When you see the sun during summertime at 11 or 12 noon, at that time you will see that the sky is not blue color, but it is bright white color, because the rays of the light are so fast and the least amount of light is scattered. That is why the light that is coming from the sun has white light, and we observe the sky to be white. Very simple, because the light scattered is not that much. And similarly, the red color of the sun, because in the morning and after the sunset it has to travel the maximum distance. As you can see from here, the sunlight has to travel the maximum distance during the sunrise and sunset. As you can see over here, this distance, this is the maximum distance compared to the noon, and that is why for traveling a much larger distance, the sunlight comes in contact with more and more particles of the atmosphere, and therefore more and more light is scattered. The only light which is unaffected is the higher colored wavelength that we studied before, that is red and orange color, and so all the light is scattered, and we observe the sun to be as red and orange color. in the sunrise and the sunset, same for both, because they have the equal amount of distance for both, and almost all the colors of the light are scattered in the atmosphere. So the only colors remain are the higher color wavelength, that is reddish and orangish color light. Okay, and these colors have the maximum wavelength, and so they are not much affected by the particles of the atmosphere, and therefore they are observed by us, and we see the color of the sun as reddish orange during sunrise and sunset. That concludes our chapter, students. We'll do more revision in the next video. Till then, have a nice day.